Everyone, I'm going to do some scene reads from the Bones of Wrath Monsters, which is available as an ebook, but also in Anthology 4, all out now under my middle grade name of TK Wrathbone. Here we go with the first scene read from Croco Jaws. While you lot have been talking about your horrid gas resources, Ben cast a glance at his wife and grinned, we've arrived at Lake Kiriwaka. The kids craned their necks out of the back windows to take in the picturesque country town in outback Australia. The town was named after the lake, but the drinking supply was provided by a natural spring and aqueduct 2 kilometres away, which also supplied the water for the cattle and crops. The town was spread across those 2 kilometres, making it a short drive to the lake. Ben pulled up to the petrol station and alighted to fill the tank, only to be greeted by the town's resident tour guide who also happened to own the station. "Let me fill that up for you, mate," the man said. "Where yous from?" He shoved the pump into the tank and casually leaned on the car. "Melbourne," Ben told him. "We heard about the lake and decided to come for a holiday to see it for ourselves. As blue can be, it's supposed to be, and as clean as the air we breathe." "Yep, well, that's what it says on the brochures we put out. I'm Mudgy, by the way." He extended a chocolate brown hand to shake Ben's. Ben eyed Mudgy up and down as he shook his hand, taking in the dark curls, brown eyes and brown skin. "I take it you're from here. How long?" "All my life," Mudgy nodded to the kids who eagerly leaned out the window. "Hello, young'uns. I'm Mudgy, Aboriginal born and bred here in Lake Kiriwaka." He tweaked Razza under the chin. "And who's this fella?" "That's Razza," Billy informed him, eyeing the man's appearance. "Got anything to tell us about the lake? We're camping there." Mudgy's eyes landed on Billy's. "You are ya? You'd better be careful then. Tourists have been known to go missing from the lake at certain times of the year, especially if they park too close to the edge. And don't go swimming alone," he warned, "or the crocodiles will get you." The pump came to a clanging stop and he put it back in its holder. "The what? Billy leaning halfway out the window and shoving his brother and Razza aside. "The crocodiles," Mudgy repeated, his black eyes flicking back and forth from Billy to his dad. "The tale goes that when this country had dozens of rivers and lakes, a giant shark swam inland, all the way of the furthest point it could go. And that was Lake Kiriwaka." He spread his arms wide. "It swam here, and it is said that to survive, it bred with a crocodile and had multiple babies." Mudgy hopped from one foot to the other, doing a little dance around in circles. "Time has not erased the crocodiles. It has descended down through time, just like the lake has transcended with it." He stopped and peered down the road towards the lake. "The tale has it that it hid deep down in the lake bed, because the lake bed is an old volcanic shelf thousands of feet deep, deeper than the oceans." Mudgy spun around to Billy. "And it is said that after a series of earth tremors, the volcano let go of its secrets, and one of those was the crocodiles, giving it life all over again. And so people have gone missing, and so have cows and sheep that have wandered down to the lake." He tweaked Raz's chin again, his head next to Billy's. "So better not let this one off on his own. You might not get him back." Grinning, he turned to Ben. "That'll be 150. Ben handed over the money, a twinkle in his eyes, as he looked from a grinning Mudgy to his son. "Well, that's quite a story. We'll have to keep our eyes open for this crocodiles, won't we, Billy?" He ruffled his son's unruly hair and thanked Mudgy before getting in the car. Making sure his sons were buckled up, he left the station and headed down the road for the lake, leaving Mudgy frowning in his wake. "That was so made up." Billy rolled his eyes and crossed his arms. "I can't believe how bad that story was. Crocodiles, half shark, half crocodile. Can they even mate with each other?" Even though he was saying it, he was secretly hoping something did happen and something was out there. "Clearly it was something made up for the tourists," Terry said, watching the campsite come into view. "Think of it as a funny adventure tale." And now I'm going to do a scene read from Gojira. "Boys, you want anything else? Don't forget to spread your money across the week so you have some to spend in other stores," their mother reminded them as she rummaged through a table of homewares looking for something to buy. "Yes, Mum," the boys replied in unison and ran over to look at some 3D models of the animals in the park. There was even a Lego version of the park and island. The boys were so busy looking at everything they didn't notice some of the models fall off the shelves until they broke at their feet. Startled, they turned and saw the other shoppers grabbing for counters and tables to steady themselves as an earthquake rippled through the island. They saw their parents clinging to each other and looking around frantically as the store rocked on its foundation. Merchandise fell from shelves fell from walls, and all clattered to the floor. The boys dived for the corner of the shop, hoping they wouldn't be hit. They covered their heads until it was over. Outside, screams were overshadowed by the soothing voice coming over the loudspeakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. That was just a minor earth tremor, and if you are unhurt, you are okay. We will be stopping the rise to check for safety issues, but in the meantime, please eat, drink, and be merry. I didn't sign up for earthquakes, Martha told her husband as they straightened themselves and looked for their sons. Boys, come on. The twins dashed over to their parents and they headed for the register to pay for their goods. Boys, I know we won this holiday and I really don't feel safe here, Martha said as they stood in line. We've been here for 3.5 days and that's not the first earthquake we've had. I don't like it. I think we should leave today. But we haven't seen everything yet, Dustin whined. We have the robocopter and the space balls to go in so we can get close and personal with the animals, and we haven't been in the hothouse yet. All we've done is the rides, the auditorium, and now the monorail. We haven't even seen the aquadome and aquarium. I don't care. This is freaking me out, their mother told them as they moved up the line. So if you want anything else, get it now so we don't have to come back and we'll leave on the boat this evening. Oh, Mum, Lincoln joined in the whining. We don't want to go yet. Why can't we stay the week? Oh, I just told you. These tremors are freaking me out and I don't want to stay. They're getting bigger and longer. Now go and get whatever else you want. Quickly, we're almost at the register. The boys scurried off, grabbing at toys and models they'd had their eyes on, but were saving their money for. If they were leaving now, there was no point leaving the toys behind. Don't you think you're overacting just a little? Matthew murmured in his wife's ear. Japan is known for tremors, and being on an island with tons of amusement rides just make them seem stronger. Haven't you noticed every time the roller coaster goes around, it makes the earth shake? Maybe if you didn't have your nose in your phone all the time, you would have noticed what's actually going on, Martha replied, not bothering to look at her husband. They reached the head of the line. She handed over items. Boys, come on, time to pay. The boys scurried over and Lincoln placed his items on the counter. The two salesgirls were working in tandem. One scanned the item and passed it to her colleague, who packed it. They took Martha's money and handed over the bag before moving on to Lincoln's toys. Do you really need all of those, boys? You've got so much at home. Martha put her purse away and uneasily stared out the door to the street. There had been no more tremors, but it still freaked her out. If we're leaving and never coming back, then yes. Lincoln handed over his money and took the bag of toys. He stepped aside for his brother and noticed the dinosaur Dustin was putting on the counter along with the models and Lego sets. You aren't buying that ugly thing, are you? It's not even a real dinosaur, and it's god-awful. The two shop assistants glanced fearfully at each other and remained silent. Lincoln and Dustin noticed the exchange. I like him, Dustin replied, poking at the black plastic scales and dorsal fins. He's kind of like T-Rex, only uglier and fatter. He looked at the assistant as she scanned the price tag. What's its name? What? The young girl murmured, surprised that he'd asked. She quickly handed it to her co-worker, who shoved it in the bag. Its name. What is it? Dustin repeated and handed over his money. She nervously glanced past him into the street. He does not have name. He is imaginary animal. Please, leave now. Here is your receipt. She shoved it into his hand and ushered him aside to serve the last customer. Please, quickly, we need to leave. Intrigued by the girl's response and unnerved by the tremors, Martha moved her children out of the store and to the right. Where are we going? Dustin asked. Are we having lunch? We're heading back to the monorail so we can go back to the hotel and pack. I want to leave today. I told you before, I don't want to be here. And that was a reading from The Bones of Wrath Monsters, out now as an ebook, but also in 4, Anthology 4, out now under my middle grade name of TK Wrathbone, large print paperback, hardcover, dust jacket hardcover, all at good online bookstores.